Welcome to another edition of Sideline Sports. Here with Jake, John, and myself, JB. Got a lot of stuff going on. Got the playoffs in both hockey and the NBA. Got some retro basketball shirts going tonight, as Jake pointed out.
I love it. All three of us. I got a Hornet shirt. You got a Knicks shirt. And John, they can't see it, but John's got a Heat shirt. And by the way, none of this was planned. We all just got on the show and just happened to be wearing retro logos for
That's an
teams.
old Heat logo too, by the way. That's not their current Heat logo.
This is like
retro.
This is the original Hornets logo. This is I said just to JB a minute ago. I said this is the best logo they ever had. I don't know why they changed.
Yeah.
I wish they would keep this. I know this is a random side note, but I wish they would keep it. I love.
They had a lot of good years with Jamal Mashburn, Baron Davis, Lonzo Mourning. They were a lot of fun.
So let's start with the NFL. We got the huge trade that went down yesterday. Julio Jones to Tennessee. I don't know. A second and fourth round pick.
I mean, if you're asking me, that was a steal. I mean, that's up there like the DeAndre Hopkins trade, like steal, because that was for what he's worth. I don't think that a second and a fourth is anywhere near his value.
I don't think it makes Tennessee that much better, but for what they gave up, it was worth it. I would do it all day for a second or fourth round pick.
Yeah,
I mean, if the Giants could have done that, I don't know what, it seems like a gift they could have got him. So
they would have had 14 receivers.
Yeah, but Julio Jones, if you get a guy like Julio,
you always take him
for a second and fourth round pick. I'd give a second and third round pick just to make a better offer.
They had to take their offensive line off the field just so they could field their receivers.
And mind you, hold on, the Falcons also sent over a sixth round pick in 23, which I know it's not a lot, but it's just it goes to show like collateral. That much had to be given away. I mean,
it's because of the contract that they were trying to get out of, and Tennessee knew it.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, I love this trade. I mean,
and what?
I'm
and
shocked.
Remember what we said last week about how Seattle potentially was going to trade a first-round pick in 2023 for him. Which if I'm Atlanta, I would have done that deal. Seattle says that. I would have been all over that. I don't know why that didn't transpire, but I would have been all over that one. The Tennessee deal wasn't great. I can't believe that's the best you could do.
Yeah, I'm in shock. When I saw that yesterday morning, I was amazed.
That's what I said. That's why I said it. It reminds me of the DeAndre Hopkins because it's like one of those trades. You just look at it and you think like, what transpired here? Because they could have gotten more for what they were trading away. It's the same thing, right? You're trading away a guy that's considered an elite wide receiver, and you're getting back basically pennies on the dollar in comparison to what you could get.
Yeah.
What does this do to Tennessee in terms of the playoff picture? And do they have any shot at hold on 1 second. Is that Michael Scott on your mug? Is that Michael Scott?
He's holding a TCNJ.
Is that a sticker or is that the mug itself, like part of the mug itself?
It's a sticker, but he's holding a mug with my school logo on it, which is why I have it.
That is awesome.
I'm
a little offended that we all don't have the stickers on our mugs then.
I vaguely caught that, and I was like, whoa, that looks like Michael Scott.
Yeah, I have it every week, but usually when I pick up my bottle, I go like this, and you just don't notice it. But I grabbed it from the other side today. There you go.
Yeah, very impressive.
That was a keen eye, John.
Yes. So what does this do for Tennessee? Do they have any shot now at winning the AFC? They don't have a shot, in my opinion, at winning the division. I still think the Colts are clearly the class, but what does this do for them? Like overall,
if you don't think they're beating the Colts, I mean, for what they gave up, it was worth the move. There's no question about that.
I agree. For what they gave up, it was. I would do that in a heartbeat, no matter who you are.
My thought is, it doesn't make them better than the Chiefs, so they're not going to win the AFC.
No.
And if you think the Colts are still better, that means they're not winning their division. So,
right,
is
that's just
it
my
anything-
opinion. So I'm curious what you guys think.
So
I could see them battling the Colts for the division. I can't say that it's 1A and 1B in my opinion with that. I don't think there's one clearly that much better than the other. Jake?
So here's what I'll say about the Colts. The defense is best in their division, not even a competition.
It's an elite defense.
Absolutely. My concern and why I'm not going to like automatically crown them the champs is going to be the offense, because it depends on the Carson Wentz that we see. If we see the Carson Wentz we saw last season, I could see the Titans taking over first place, not because their defense is in any way superior, because it's not, but the offense is going to be very strong, and it may be enough to end up putting them past the Colts if their offense can't get going. If the Colts can get even half of what Carson Wentz was when he had what is considered his MVP season, then the Colts are the class of that division, because they now have a quarterback that I believe is at the very least a sustainable game manager that will help them win games. So
I don't know.
No, so it depends. So I think it's going to depend on Carson Wentz. If he can't play anywhere near the level that he could play at, then I might want to say, yeah, I think the Titans might win it, because as strong as that Colts defense is, if they're not putting up any points on the board on offense, what you're going to see is a tired defense. Because if you put a defense out over and over and over, if they're out there
I don't think the offense has to worry. I don't think the offense has to worry about scoring points, because that's a top 3 offensive line. You could argue they're the best offensive line in football. Right there.
No, I don't disagree, but I'm just saying if Carson Wentz can't make accurate throws or play well, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying he won't.
He's not going to be.
My thinking on the Titans, why it's going to be good for them.
But yeah.
You know, their offense now with an elite running back, and if Julio's healthy, they can throw the ball. You got to who do you guard? How do you play the run? Do you play the pass? You know, but at the same time, I mean, Carson Wentz is a fraud. Dude listen, he has no mental fortitude. He is a fraud. Give him Aaron Rodgers' jersey, because that's another fraud we'll get to in a minute. These guys are fraudulent. You know, I'm going to say Tom Brady, class. These two guys, no.
You got to call the bank and dispute the fraudulent charges.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled with either one of them. You know.
See, but the thing is, you're looking at Carson Wentz as though he has to be elite. That's what you're talking about.
And that's why I said he needs to really just be a viable game manager.
He just has to be middle of the road. And Carson Wentz is perfectly capable of being middle of the road if you want him a top 15 quarterback this year. Perfectly capable. They don't need him to be top 10. They don't need him to be top 5. He's not going to – the injuries I'm not worried about, because they run the ball a ton, and that's offensive line, as I mentioned, is arguably the best in football. The Eagles' offensive line was in shambles. They didn't run the ball. They had no receivers. Defense wasn't good. I'm not saying that's an excuse for how Wentz was.
No,
however,
but it doesn't help. I mean, I've said that
this
about –
protects Wentz. And who is his head coach? Well, that's right. It's Frank Reich, who was there when he had his MVP run before he got hurt against the Rams. So Frank Reich knows him very well. So that helps. Great offensive line, great run game. Carson Wentz doesn't have to do much of anything. Just like Jake said, be a game manager. Don't turn the ball over. Play pretty decent football, which I'm not a Carson Wentz guy, but he's very capable of playing top 15 football. That's all they need, and they can get to the Super Bowl.
Hang on. Let's look at this. How many playoff games has he played?
0.
I think he played a half.
Yeah.
Did he play the first one? He got hurt?
He got hurt against the Rams, and then he never...
He was hurt in the season. Anytime he got hurt was during the season, because their Super Bowl run, which is when he had his MVP season,
he got nothing.
Was all Nick Foles.
And then double doink year was Nick Foles, too.
Yeah. I think it was the next season, right?
Yeah.
How many full seasons has he played back without getting hurt?
I don't... I was actually looking at his stats. Last year was the first year he played one. He played all the games last year, I believe. He didn't get hurt this past
season. They benched him. They hurt his pride.
Right, but he didn't get hurt.
He was crying.
Yeah, but he didn't play a full season still.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. We're talking about injuries.
No, but
JB's
it was
his fault.
It was his fault because he didn't play well. I'm with JB. It is his fault.
The mental fortitude is going to be a little bit different in Indy, because he doesn't have to be the guy, and he has Reich back. And
he's the quarterback. He's always got to be the guy. The quarterback's the leader of your team.
No,
hold on. I'll give you an example of a quarterback that did not have to be the guy on his team, and they won a championship.
Funny.
It's a perfectly recent example, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
When they won that Super Bowl, he was nowhere near the
He
guy.
got benched for Brock
Osweiler.
Osweiler.
He was a game manager.
Yep.
He was of course an elite game manager because he's Peyton Manning.
Because of his mind.
But his defense was clearly the winner.
Are you going to respect Carson Wentz in the huddle? When Carson Wentz comes in the huddle and says, "Guys, we got to do something," are you going to say, "Whatever you say, Carson, I got your back"? No, I'm going to say, "You're a punk. Get out of here."
Yeah, but if Reich is the one backing your head coach, which your team follows, that's the leader, is your head coach.
Usually,
if that guy vouches for Carson Wentz in Indy, the team's going to follow. They have a good culture. Yeah. The thing is, in Philly, they had no culture. The culture was bad. But in Indy, they have a great culture. Like I said, the roster is fantastic. One guy doesn't make up a team. They have basically 52 guys that are really good. Carson Wentz just has to be.
The quarterback's the leader of your team. He can't lead. He's not an adult.
But the thing is, you're looking as though.
Put him in the stroller. Put him on the sideline. Let's see Eason do some work. Have a good life. Adios, my friend.
But you're looking at it as though he has to be the guy he was in Philly. He doesn't have to be that dude.
I get that. I get he doesn't have to be a superstar. But he has to lead the team. And who can respect a guy that basically walked away from his teammates?
But these are NFL players. It's just like they get over this stuff. They don't think about that stuff. They just go out and play, man.
John, I am on your side with most of this, but boy, do you flip-flop your opinions. I mean, no, I'm
it's
not like Katy Perry says, changes your mind like a girl changes clothes. I'm trying
to tell you.
You are exactly that, dude.
I'm not a Carson Wentz guy. However, in Indy, it's a great fit because it's house money. It's like the Hawks going up against the Sixers.
Nowhere.
House money.
Going nowhere. You want to talk about a team with a great culture? Go to Tennessee. Let's go to the same division.
No, that culture is not great. It's not a great culture.
Hold on. John,
it's not a great culture.
You had me, but now you have totally lost me.
It's not a great culture in Tennessee.
How is it not?
I would rather have the culture in Indy, personally. I'd rather have the roster in Indy.
Hold on. The culture and the roster are two different things.
I'm saying both of them. I would rather have both. Indy, all the way, if I had to choose.
I mean, I'd prefer Indy's defense, but I prefer Tennessee's offense.
Elite offensive line.
But overall, I would rather Tennessee's offense.
A great run game.
They have an elite offensive line, but even if you still got a running back that's going to run for more yards than Indy will run for.
Absolutely.
So,
not necessarily. Not necessarily. You have a lot of good running backs in Indy.
No, we're talking about one running back versus one running back.
No, he said versus their running backs.
Yeah, no, I'll go against the whole team.
Okay,
I don't think that's the case.
Well, that's a little bit different. And
that's a little bit different because Indy runs the ball really well.
How many rushing yards did Indianapolis get last year, Jake? You're the quickest doing research here.
Yeah, give me a sec. You keep going with what you're talking about while I look this up.
And then while you're doing that, I'll look up Henry real quick.
Sure.
Just to compare. So we can look and see.
Sure.
I mean, this doesn't do anything for Tennessee as far as like pecking order in the division. I don't even think it does anything for them pecking order in the AFC.
Colts total
overall.
rushing yards last season were 1,996.
Derrick Henry, 2027. Your elite offensive line, one guy. That's all I'm saying. Now you're giving him another option on offense that you have to game plan for if he's healthy.
Now, I'm going to say this, though. Hold on. I'm going to say this.
Taylor was a rookie. Derrick Henry wasn't a rookie.
I'm going to say this.
So you know.
I would still choose the Colts to rush more, and I'll tell you why. Derrick Henry had an anomaly season. I don't mean that he was not a great running back. He's fantastic. But rushing for over 2,000 yards, and I and John will all agree that is
not going to happen.
Considered an anomaly. It's not going to happen often. For him to run about 1,500, 1,600 is where I would expect Henry to be consistently, which is amazing. And the only reason I'm choosing the Colts, hold on, the only reason I'm choosing the Colts is because they'll just hand it off to like 3 or 4 different guys. It's a lot easier for 3 or 4 different guys just to add up really quickly as opposed to
And I think
one guy who will get worn down just because that's what happens during a season. However, if I'm going to choose a running back, I'm still choosing Derrick Henry, even though the Colts will run for more because Derrick Henry is a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, but Jonathan Taylor held his own as a rookie last year.
Oh,
he played
he was
really
good.
well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was really good.
I like him. Don't get me wrong, but you're giving Tennessee's offense now another threat. Now you have to game plan.
However, they did lose Jonnu Smith, so they don't really have a tight end. And they lost Corey Davis, so they're making up with it with Julio Jones, who's 32, often injured. So you got to worry about that. I love Julio Jones. I'm a big fan of him, but I worry about the injuries. You got to worry about that at 32. He's always banged up.
You're not wrong.
Thank you. Whoever said this, smart person.
Hold on. We really got to bring up that Julio and AJ Brown are threats.
I want to point something out.
It's like the ultimate John Madden comment.
I got to find this. Give me 1 second. So I saw a stat today, actually, and this is one of the most interesting stats. Now, we just talked about how Julio is constantly hurt. I don't disagree. I know he is. But over the last 3 seasons, can you name me the 3 receivers with the most receiving yards, the wide receiver, not tight end, 3 wide receivers in order? I'm sure you can't because it's an odd fact.
No. And he had a big down year last year.
Number 1, DeAndre Hopkins with 4,144 in the last 3 seasons. Number 2, Julio Jones with 3,842, and number 3, Devontae Adams with 3,757.
I'm not debating what.
Hold on, but what's important? What I want to say: yes, Julio gets hurt, but when he plays, he produces.
He's a monster. The issue was
that's what's important. That's what's important.
You got to remember, Atlanta was horrible in the red zone, which is why people, as much as everyone talks great about Julio,
he's not a touchdown guy.
No, Atlanta's
he is, but Atlanta wasn't the right team for him. To do that.
You're going to see, if he stays healthy, you're going to see things that are going to blow your mind. He's going to be the best receiver in the league if he's healthy.
Do you know when was the last time he had double-digit touchdowns?
And actually, John, I can tell you that real quick because I happen to be looking at his stats because I actually wanted to point out something, but that was 2012, which is a long time ago.
That's 9 years.
But anyway, what I wanted to say was this, though, John. Do you know how many times he has missed games, like multiple games in a season in his career?
How many?
How many seasons
he has
missed? I'm just saying, to clarify, how many times he has missed multiple games in his, let's say 2 or 3. It's not that often. Okay, 2020, he missed quite a few games. He only played 9. But 2019, he only missed 1 game. He played 15 games. 18 and 17, he played all 16. In 16 and 15, he started 14 and 16 respectively. In 14, he started 15. In 2013, clearly he was very hurt. He only played 5. In 2012, he played in 16 games. So the point is, yes, he gets hurt, but if you look at his career, he actually has not missed that many games.
I had him in fantasy last year, so I remember having to go through this week to week of what I had to deal with Julio. So this is how I know. Even if he played 9 games last year, there were games where he was the decoy. There was games where he left early after 2 plays. So, he played 9 games, which is a little over half a season. But there was a lot of games where he didn't even play the full game or he was a decoy. So, you know what I'm saying? So
I understand. But
it's like Cal Ripken started his streak. He had his long streak, the Iron Man streak. But some of them games, he was in for a little bit, and then they took him out just so the streak would stay alive. You got to sometimes look at the numbers inside the numbers.
But my point is that, yes, I understand he misses games. But in his career, he really hasn't missed as many games as we seem to make it out to be, which is really important.
It's always
he has a lot of.
It's always nagging injuries, yeah.
Right, but it's nagging injuries that keep him out of practice, but not out of games. And if on the Titans, I'm looking at his track record, he plays in majority of his games, and he makes the most of them. Clearly, I am ecstatic to have him because, he may be hurt, but he's gonna play, and that's what matters. He's gonna be out there
for a steal, yeah.
Exactly.
And, on top of that, if you're going to look at the numbers inside the numbers, Atlanta was garbage in the red zone the last 4 or 5 years.
This is true.
So you can't blame Julio for that because it's not his fault.
No, but he's not a touchdown guy. He's straight. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy
he can be with the right offense.
More.
This is an offense where he will score, I say,
if he's healthy,
6+ touchdowns this year.
Easily.
And I know that's not like a huge number, but it's an improvement and it's going to help.
And he doesn't necessarily need to be the guy to get the touchdowns with Derrick Henry there. So that's going to open him up at the goal line if they have him in.
One thing that both Tannehill, you guys didn't mention, Tannehill and Carson Wentz do well. Because Carson Wentz does it really well. He does it almost as good as Tannehill, but I think Tannehill's a little better. It's a play action game. And both have a great run game. And Tannehill's play action game is actually going to be even better now that you add Julio Jones. And Tannehill's mean on that play action. Like, he can make it bite pretty good. So can Carson Wentz. They're both good at that. So that's something we didn't mention. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, since we're after June 1st, after that magic date, I still think Zach Ertz finds his way to Indy. I still think I have a funny feeling with Frank Reich, Carson Wentz.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here.
He's going to get dealt.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
But
this is one of those times you could be right. Like I
have a
believe
feeling it'll be like a 4th-round pick or a 5th-round pick.
It might be a little more than that.
Because he's so
I think it'll be a
up,
little bit more.
and he's older, and he costs a lot.
Yeah,
much like Julio. Not going to get as much as you would want at.
I'm thinking it's going to be like a 3rd rounder. Maybe a team overpays with a 2nd rounder, but that's if a team really overpays. But I don't think a 4th rounder is fair. I think a 3rd rounder is still because he's a solid tight end and he will start wherever he goes.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to pay a steep price.
But watch out for Indy sliding in with a Chris Ballard making some sort of nice deal to get Wentz and Ertz paired back up, and Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Would it be shocking?
I wouldn't be surprised. He is out of Philly. I mean, Dallas Goedert is clearly going to be their new tight end, and he's going to be great, and that's fine. So it just opens up for a team that needs a tight end. Just go get one because you could probably get him at a decent steal. Yeah, a decent, not too steep of a price right now. Which if you said that 2 years ago or even last year, you'd say you're crazy. It's going to be expensive to get a guy like Ertz.
Yep. I mean, you also mentioned June 1st, and Aaron Rodgers, did it go to minicamp?
Not yet.
He's
not yet. Going. He's not on OTAs.
I kind of follow along with some of the Packers beat writers on Twitter and stuff, and one of the Packers beat writers said that Jordan Love missed a lot of open throws, wide open throws. Accuracy was really bad. Like this guy,
it's clear he's not going to be a viable quarterback.
I've heard nothing but bad things so far this year. For last year, he wasn't dressed at all because he wasn't ready to even be the backup. So this year, preparing to take over for Rodgers if he doesn't show up, and you're hearing nothing but bad things. This is not looking good for the Packers or Jordan Love so far. I didn't like the pick last year when the Packers took him, but my gosh,
you didn't think it was going to be this bad.
This is what I thought Justin Herbert was going to be when the Chargers drafted him, as kind of like a raw guy that it's going to take a while.
I thought you were going to say just bad, and I was like, wow.
No, it's going to take a while.
You nuts?
Like a project that's going to take a while.
This could be they could do kind of what LA and Detroit did. Instead of going to like a team like Denver where they're not going to get a quarterback back, maybe they'll look to trade with a different team. Who knows? If they're going to work the phone.
LA, you could get Derek Carr. It's exactly what I told you guys before. He's not amazing, but he's a viable quarterback.
Guy that can run the offense and see what happens. Somebody will take Rodgers. And just a matter of where he wants to go and where he'll play. If Jeopardy is close by,
But how do you compete with Tampa Bay and Seattle and San Francisco and
You're
LA?
Not going to.
How do you stay competing with them if you downgrade to Derek Carr?
You're not going to.
You're not gonna.
They weren't going to before.
Makes it so tricky.
I think what is important.
Rodgers, they weren't going to compete with them.
You still compete. They got to the conference championship.
whoever the quarterback is will still find success just because of the offensive weapons they'll have at their disposal. I know they won't be Aaron Rodgers level, but you can still expect a division,
but they're
probably a division winner.
They're not beating Tampa Bay or Seattle or LA or San Fran. None of those teams.
But I could still see them winning the division with another quarterback just because of the weapons they have around whatever quarterback. And if they get a serviceable quarterback, I mean, it's realistic with Tunyon, with Devontae Adams, with Jones and Dillon at running back. It's a great team offensively. So a quarterback's dream is to have that kind of a setup, which I understand they're not going to compete. I know that. I don't disagree, but they'll still have relative success. And for a guy like Derek Carr, probably be his best season ever because he'll have the best weapons of his career.
Yeah, so. I'm curious to see what happens. I read an article today. One of the people in Green Bay's front office, who wasn't named, said he doesn't see any way in which this gets repaired.
I don't see it. Yeah.
That he had no hope. It's just a matter of time, and it's a shame. I don't like situations like this. I think it makes everybody look bad. It makes the Packers look bad. It makes Aaron Rodgers look bad. There's no winners in this situation.
And it's just getting uglier by the day. You keep hearing more reports about, Aaron Rodgers just keeps smearing this in and making it worse, and or the Packers make it worse. And, it's like a bad breakup or whatever. Like there's no
good ending.
No,
it's just dragging out.
Just got to cut the cord and do it, Yep. Find that viable trade partner, get rid of it, and move on.
Because it's not. I don't think it's going to be hard to find a trade partner. I don't think it's got to be hard.
Well, it is hard because
who wants Aaron Rodgers? Okay,
it is hard
field the offers and figure it out.
Because the cap is down.
Yeah,
because his cap hit is so high, and he's 38 years old.
We all know anybody would take him right now. Crazy,
but it depends on what you got to give up, and it depends on your cap. Because, like I said, the cap is down, so it's harder to trade for one of the highest-paid guys in the league, who's a drama queen or drama king, whatever you want to call it. He's
not
full
Carson
of drama.
Wentz. Carson Wentz is okay. The Colts are going to be great because of Carson Wentz, but Aaron Rodgers is a drama queen.
You don't see all this stuff where day by day it just keeps getting worse and worse and.
Well, in the season it was. Hold on. During the season, it was getting worse and worse and worse with Carson Wentz because he played like garbage.
It's nothing close to this.
How many NFC Championship games did Carson Wentz get to in the last 3 years?
We're talking about drama, and we're talking about Rodgers and people trading for him.
We'll get to the drama in a second, but how many did Carson Wentz get to? 0, because Nick Foles did all that. So at least Aaron Rodgers is beating them there. I'll take Aaron Rodgers' drama. I don't want Carson Wentz.
But irrelevant because Carson Wentz has nothing to do with this. We're talking Aaron Rodgers and what you got to give up to get
it's all relevant.
The guy's full of drama, 38 and very expensive. What do you give up for a guy?
A guy who wins and gets you to championship games. Doesn't get you to the Super Bowl, but gets you to the NFC Championship.
What do you give up for that is the question.
You're going to have to
give up. They're not going to get a whole lot because when it comes down to it, he ain't going to play. So eventually you got to make the move.
So what do you do if you're the Packers? If you're not going to get a whole lot, why would you want to trade this guy? You're going to get a third round pick.
Because it's dead cap space if you keep him because he's just
if you get a third and a fifth, why would you do it?
Because it's better than letting him just sit there and paying him to do nothing.
Him sitting there is killing both sides.
But then you got Jordan. Then you got to go to Jordan Love.
Is to get rid of him. It's a kid.
Right, but if he's there, hold on. But if he's there not playing, you also have to go to Jordan Love. So either situation forces your hand. So it's a matter of, do you want to get something in return, or do you want to just let him sit there?
Well, if you get something in return and you're obviously going to play Love, your season's over. You're not winning with Jordan Love. So
right, but if he sits there and does nothing, you're playing with Jordan Love, and he's also not going to win still.
So it's a really bad situation for both sides.
And it's only going to get worse. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to get.
Exactly. People are going to wait it out, so you have to make
it's like a little crack in the window, and the longer you take to repair that, the more it starts to web.
Absolutely.
It's ugly. Anything else going on in the NFL?
I got one thing I wanted to talk about because we were talking about we were talking about great quarterbacks, and I saw something 2 days ago, I think 3 days ago. I just thought it was interesting, so I wanted to bring it up. So I want you to just we were talking about the Titans. We talked about Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill has played 26 games for the Titans. He's been a lot better than he was in his career, and John knows all about that because John watched him firsthand for majority of his career as a Dolphins fan. I just want your honest opinions on Tannehill's 26 games. Would you rank him top 3 quarterback, top 5, top 10, or top 16, or top or below 16, so 32 to 16? Where would you rank him just in his 26 games that he's played with the Titans? Not anything else in his career, just a span with the Titans. I'll start there because there is a point to this, but I'm curious.
I have him hovering somewhere in between 6 and 10. Not top 5, but I have him somewhere plotted down between 6 and 10. Somewhere in there. I'm not exactly sure.
No, that's fine. So you'd say top 10. Top 10.
Somewhere
in
the top 10. Maybe like 8 or 9-ish, I would say. Somewhere in there.
Lower half of the top 10.
So you both agree top 10, and I would agree with that statement.
But he's been really good for the Titans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, the same span, 26 games. The same span since Tannehill took over, which was beginning of 2019. Where would you rank Mahomes?
Number 1.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Number 1? Okay. So, and this is not me comparing the two players. Tannehill is clearly not as good as Mahomes. But I saw this, and I thought this was really interesting. Since 26 games ago, from that span till now, when Tannehill took over, Tannehill, his QB rating is a 111.3, while Patrick Mahomes is a 103.6. Mahomes has thrown for more yards, 7,576, while Tannehill's only thrown for 6,417. Total touchdowns, Tannehill 66, Mahomes 58. Total interceptions, Tannehill 12, Mahomes 11. Completion percentage, Tannehill 67, Mahomes 65.5.
Did you say Mahomes has 58 touchdowns?
In the 26 games. In that 26-game span.
Okay, I was going to say, because he threw 50 in a season. No.
This is in a 26-game span from starting when Tannehill took over.
Did he play all 26
through last season?
Didn't he miss time for dislocating his knee?
Those are the 26 games that he played. I guess that's the span at least that Tannehill was considered the starter.
Well,
because Mahomes missed some games.
The point of what I was getting at is it's so impressive how far this guy has turned around his career.
He was really good.
Garbage quarterback considered by most.
See, the thing is, he wasn't garbage in Miami.
But considered by most, he was.
He wasn't garbage in Miami. He actually played really well. He was just surrounded by dysfunction. He had Adam Gase's coach. It was nothing but dysfunction there and a terrible offensive line. He had some good weapons receiver-wise. But overall, it was all dysfunction. And so he kind of looked like a bust. But he actually played really well for the Dolphins. He ended up tearing his ACL before the season, which was a shame. Then he tore his ACL on a dirty hit by Calais Campbell, which I don't forgive Calais Campbell for that. But he actually played really well. He just got overlooked because he was in Miami and they were all dysfunctional. But he went to Tennessee and with Derrick Henry, who was the big part of the reason why Tannehill's able to do what he does, because I think Tannehill doesn't quite do what he's doing if Derrick Henry is like on the bench and they have David Johnson.
It opens up the offense.
Right. So a difference in it is you have to look at Patrick Mahomes, who is leading the team. Patrick Mahomes should be in 3 Super Bowls. If not for, I believe it was D Ford stepping off sides against the Patriots, Patrick Mahomes would be in 3 straight Super Bowls, including beating Ryan Tannehill in the AFC Championship game. Ryan Tannehill has only been to 1 AFC Championship, got his butt beat by Patrick Mahomes, and other than that, he hasn't done anything. So they're on completely different planets. But Ryan Tannehill has played really, really well for the Tennessee Titans, and I don't disagree.
They're totally different. I thought it was so interesting when I saw that. Because when you look at the two, it's like, wow, Tannehill really is. I mean, yes, we consider him top 10. I agree. But some of his stats are mind-blowing to think, because you look at what he was in Miami, right, and what people considered him in Miami, and you see how this guy turned it around. I just saw it, and I had to share, and I figured it would be fun to talk about that because it was to me it was awesome. It was awesome to see that.
He doesn't get enough credit for how good of a quarterback he really is. And he was a receiver in college, and then he turned into a quarterback and only played a limited number of games. So,
and I think what's great, he's going to be, I think, even better this season with the addition of Julio Jones, and I cannot wait to see what he gets to do because he's an awesome quarterback, and he never got the credit he deserved in Miami, and I know why. It's because when your team is losing, the first person they blame, no matter what, is almost always the quarterback.
Fair. He was like the 8th overall pick, so
right, and that happens. But it's one of those things that when you see that, it makes you happy to see it because we just said Mahomes is number one, but some of his stats are even better than Mahomes in that stretch, which doesn't take anything from Mahomes, but it's like, wow, he really was awesome.
Yes.
Maybe.
So.
No, I mean, listen, he's played great football. The Titans in general, I mean, they
look great
people the last couple of years. So,
offensively.
Yeah.
Not defensively,
just in general as a team, I mean, a lot better than I expected completely.
But my concern with the Titans is Mike Vrabel's your head coach, and your defense is an absolute disaster.
John, I'm going to say this to you now. Remember the Titans. That's it. That's the segment.
Remember last year their defense was a disaster, and then they let Adoree Jackson walk. That's a big loss. That Clowney left, who wasn't a big impact anyway. Vic Beasley left. They cut him. He wasn't an impact at all. But they lost their biggest guy in Adoree Jackson. That was a gigantic loss. Now, they did draft a cornerback to replace him. Cornerback with back injury history, who I really like, but we're not sure what we're going to get out of him yet.
I'm loving this hockey news right now.
I know. I was going to get to that after because I know John's not a happy camper.
Look, we beat them if Rod Brind'Amour isn't stupid and starting Peter Mrazek in the last game. That was the series right there.
All I'm going to say, and I'm saying it now,
that didn't make
Islanders and Nets.
It made a difference.
Both go into the finals.
It made a difference because we were down 2-1 the series. You don't score 4 goals on Vasilevsky, however you say his name.
Sure.
And give that away. And then they come back and get 4 against you in the same period. You don't give that type of opportunity away. And that doesn't happen if Ned is in goal. But because Mrazek was in goal, who is a terrible goalie in my opinion, I don't like him, that was a stupid decision. You don't sit your rookie goaltender who had the best stats in the NHL as a goalie for 2 games in a row. He had the best goals against average and the best save percentage. So
remember what we talked about, though.
It doesn't matter. Still best in those stats, even if you don't qualify. It's not like you played 1 game. Still played a lot of games.
It's like the no-hitter dilemma we had.
You don't sit a guy like – you don't sit a – the thing I don't understand, because you want me to get on this?
Hang on.
I'll
tell you why I did it, John.
Hang on. You're gonna say benching the goalie was the wrong move, but benching Tua was the right move.
Tua was the right move.
Hold on.
Make this argument now.
So you want to start Ned all 6 games against Nashville. You don't sit him at all. And he gave up more goals in some of those games against Nashville, including a 5-goal game. Never got benched. Plays Tampa Bay, gives up 2 in the first game, 2 in the second game. That's not bad at all. If your goalie gives up 2 every playoff game, you can live with that. That is amazing. It's not bad at all. It gives you a chance to survive.
It's not amazing. It's good.
It's not amazing.
It's really good. In the playoffs, that's really good.
Amazing is not the right word.
Usually, playoff games, you don't typically win 2-1. It just doesn't happen.
That's not true.
Yeah.
No.
You need to score 3. 3 is a magic number. Anyway, you only give up 2 in the first, 2 in the second. I like that. That's really good. That's right around what he averaged for the season.
John, I'd also like to hold on. I'd like to just quickly point out in game 2 against the Preds, Peter Mrazek started. So he stopped. So he benched your goalie after game 1.
Okay, so he started 5 games. Yeah, he started 5 games.
I'm sorry, that was the regular season. I take that back. That was the start of the regular season. I'm sorry.
Anyway, that's
end of the regular season.
What I'm saying is he started the first 2 games, only gave up 2 goals. Then Mrazek comes in game 3, gives up 2. Why don't you bench him? He gave the same amount of goals. So Mrazek gets another chance. A guy that hasn't played in over a month. Guy gives up 6 goals. And then going into today, they still hadn't decided who was going to be the goalie. They didn't decide until warmups. I didn't understand that at all. If we're going to get on this, I didn't understand Rod Brendamore's thinking at all with that. You got to ride with your guy. Got to ride with the guy that gives you the best chance to win.
I mean, I think I could tell you exactly what happened, John.
It makes no sense.
I
wrote an article on it. Believe you me, there's an article coming out about this.
I mean,
Believe you me.
I mean, all right. I guess we're going to switch to playoff hockey, which is perfectly fine by me.
Okay, I don't know who's saying they should have went with Remy, but you don't know hockey, so thank you. That guy's garbage.
All I'm going to say,
Remy is garbage.
Just the equivalent to this argument. How do you say benching Tua in a close game compared to not playing a rookie goaltender?
Playoffs, hockey and football are completely different sports. Completely different.
The concept is the same.
No, it's not.
I'll explain. Yes, I'll explain because there is. Because your argument for benching Tua was, and I quote, "We want to win now." The point of benching a rookie goalie is also to win now.
That doesn't give you the chance to win now, starting a guy that hasn't played in over a month against the defending champions.
Well, apparently, benching your rookie goalie, your rookie quarterback gives you a chance to win also.
But it's completely different. This is the playoffs versus a regular season game. Completely different. Completely different.
I'm not really seeing much of a difference.
The situations are different because Tua's injury history, which I've detailed that many times. He didn't start. It's completely different.
John, I mean, here's what you're kind of missing, which you haven't pointed out. One of the reasons I think they sat him was because he lost twice in a row at home, both
giving
times.
Up 2 goals.
Hold on. But you're also playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, the defending champions, arguably one of the best teams in hockey who can absolutely obliterate almost anybody, it feels like.
And they didn't obliterate him at all.
Right. But hold on. The point is you've got to try to spark your team and do something to stop the losing. Yeah, absolutely.
You spark it another way. Spark it another way.
How would you like to have sparked it, John?
I mean, the Dolphins did it by benching Tua.
Look, I told you, playoff hockey and the NFL regular season are completely different.
And John, hold on. I'd also like to point this out. They lost the first 2 games. They start Peter Mrazek in game 3 and win.
They gave up 2 goals.
But they win. So the coach is automatically thinking, I've sparked my team. They won a game. So hold on. So you're back in this series now. The 6-4 game, terrible. Don't understand.
Yeah.
Don't understand it. But the
including scoring 4 against a guy that you can't score on.
Hold on. But the original benching, I completely support because guess what? It worked. I guarantee you he's thinking it worked. If you make the game 2-1, or the series 2-1, it clearly worked. You won a game.
No, he gave up the same amount of goals as Ned did. Same amount.
So you're saying the win?
But you won. Count? But you won is what mattered. The coach saw the win.
More goals.
Right.
Which they should have done the first 2 games.
Right. My point is they scored more goals. They were sparked to play better. Something happened. And what's the only thing that changed?
You guys keep talking.
The goalie changed.
My charger and my computer's dying. I just realized. So you guys keep talking. I'm listening.
So I'll gladly keep going. But John, I think, is missing the point that in game 2 they lost. In game 3, the goalie switch happens. And that's right. They win the game in overtime. Spark. That's what I'm talking about. I don't understand the starting Mrazek today. I'm not arguing that I understand that. I don't understand that whatsoever or Mrazek, the next game, I don't understand that. But, I mean, they started their rookie goalie in 3 of 5 games. I could see the pattern of what the coach is doing here. And when now John's back, I'll gladly explain what happened. So, John, here's what happened. It's very simple. Games 1 and 2, rookie goalie.
I know. I watched the games.
Lose the game. You put in a new goalie, so you need to spark your team. So he benches your rookie goalie, puts in Mrazek, they win the game. So now he's thinking, all right, we're going to ride the hot hand. Who just won?
That's not a hot hand.
Hold on.
He won.
Who just won?
He won.
Who just won one game? Who lost 2 in a row? So he's seeing a win. So he says, we're going to start him again. That's what happened. And then tonight, he doesn't start him, actually. Because tonight, Ned started and he lost.
Gave up 2 goals.
Right. But here's what happened. It's simple. Lose 2 games. You're down 2-0. I need to spark my team. Puts a new goalie in.
How many goals did
they win a game? They win a game.
How many goals did we score tonight?
The coach did the right thing. The coach won that game. He makes the series 2-1. He says, all right, my goalie just won. I'm going to keep him in. I put him in the next game. He puts him in the next game.
Game 3, the game that you keep referring to, Mrazek should have given up a lot more than 2 goals.
It doesn't matter.
He should have given up more than 2 goals?
It doesn't matter what he does.
Did you watch the game? How many times they hit the post?
It doesn't matter.
How many went
He
in the
gave
net?
up 2 goals.
How many went?
They scored 2 goals, and they won the game.
Jake, you're out of order. Hang on. How many went in the net?
2.
Did you? I watched that game. They hit the
post
so many times. I can still hear it.
2 shots went in the net, John.
That's all they matter.
How many went in the net the next game? 6?
We're not talking about the next game.
Hold on.
Okay.
So, John, let me get back to my point. So, Ned loses 2 straight games. We agree on that, correct?
Yep.
So, you're thinking we're down 2-0 in the series. I need to spark my team to win the next game, right? No matter what he's going to do.
Bench arguably your best player.
Hold on. We agree he has to spark his team to win the next game, right? No matter, I'm not saying what he's going to do.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I honestly don't think so, because I think if you need that jolt in a playoff series, if you can't get yourself,
John, have you watched
being
NHL the last
no.
years of your life?
What's that?
Have you watched the NHL the last 20-something years of your life?
I've watched, yes.
Your head coach did nothing out of the ordinary. You as a fan, I fire you as a Carolina Hurricanes fan. You're no longer allowed to call yourself a Hurricanes fan.
Oh, okay. All right.
I agree with the move because it's simple of what happened. I'll make it real clear. You lose 2 games, so you bench your goalie. Exactly.
That has no relevancy on what we're talking.
But he's right.
Doesn't even make sense.
But he's right.
No, it doesn't. It's
Absolutely.
not even close to what the goalie does. No, because
the concept is the same, though.
No, the goalie runs the team. Everything runs through the goalie.
The quarterback runs the team.
He's talking about the wide receivers, half completions.
No, he says as half completions for QBs. He's saying if I throw a perfect dart and the guy drops the ball, do I get a half a completion? No, you don't. If a goalie gets an almost lets up a goal, does that count as an almost goal?
That means he got
Does
lucky.
It count as a half a goal? No.
You watch hockey, you know how lucky that is.
I'm not saying it's not.
You know when they ring the post 4 times, you're like, that goalie,
it's not lucky.
That goalie has hockey nuts or something on his side tonight.
The words never came out of my mouth.
What matters is what goes into the net.
It matters is the final stats on the board. The final numbers on the board. It's just like saying a wide receiver dropped an open touchdown. Well, guess what? If they lose by that 1 touchdown, it doesn't matter because guess what?
Are you blaming our rookie goalie on losing this series?
No.
Okay.
What I'm going to say is this, though. Your team was outmatched. You were playing a better team. I said that going into the series, that the Canes are a great team.
I think we win
They're
the series.
A fantastic young team, but they don't have the experience yet, so the Lightning beat you. I
think we win the series if he starts game 4.
No!
Yeah.
You're missing what happened, John. So let me explain. I've tried to explain it like 6 times.
I'm listening.
Lose game 1 and 2. So your coach says, geez, this is a real bad predicament we're in. We're down 2-0 to the defending champs. I need to make a change. So he does. It's not necessarily all Ned's fault. However,
it's not any of his fault.
Hold on. but it's a heck of a lot. Hold on. It's partially his fault because he gave up 2 goals. I'm not saying.
I'm going to intervene. I'm going to be the mediator in this argument. John, how many goals did the Lightning score in Game 1?
2.
How many goals did the Hurricanes score in Game 1?
1.
Okay, so the Lightning lost. The Lightning won because they scored more goals, right?
Whose fault is that?
That's not Ned's fault. If a pitcher gives up 1 run, which is to me what that would be the equivalent of.
It depends on the pitcher. If it's Garrett Cole, it's his fault. $40 million a year, you give up a hit, you suck.
If a pitcher gives up 1 run, you can't blame that pitcher. You can't say, well, that loss is on the pitcher.
It depends
on
No, you can't.
Generally depends on
say that.
But if it's constant hits, then yeah, it's the pitcher's fault.
Maybe he gives up 1 hit, 1 run. That's not on the pitcher. The offense has to do more. I mean, look at this. Game 1, he gave up 2 goals. We only scored 1. Game 2, we had no goals until we scored with a minute left down 2-0, which means that was a garbage time goal that accounted for basically.
Right. So why did Tampa win those 2 games? Because their goalie didn't let. Hold on. Why did Tampa win those 2 games?
I know how this works.
Because their goalie didn't let anything in.
Thank you. I know how this works.
So my point was going to be, what I was going to get at was, you lose game 1 and 2. Okay, your goalie is letting up 2 goals a game, which I'm not saying is bad. I understand. That's good stuff. However, it's clearly not working. Whatever's going on, it's not working.
So
and he's the scapegoat. He becomes a scapegoat. Hold on. It's like benching a quarterback. It's not always the quarterback's fault, but the quarterback becomes what they call the scapegoat. So they blame him. The goalie gets the same position. They're saying, it's not all your fault, obviously, because the offense is not scoring enough, but we're blaming you because it's the easiest to blame, so we're going to bench you. And it works because Tampa loses game 3. The series is now 2-1. So now it's just like in football. If you changed quarterbacks and your quarterback is winning you games,
so
it doesn't matter if he's the reason you're winning or not. You don't change the formula. If it's working, hold on. If the formula is working, you keep going with it. So it's kind of like a quarterback in football, right? Mm-hmm. Even if he's not the reason you won, he was the quarterback in for the win. You just keep him in. That's what happens. So game 4 happens.
What happened?
Hold on. Game 4 happens. Hold on. Game 4 happens. And I put that square on the goalie Mrazek all day. I blame him for giving. Give him up. Hold on. I blame him for those 6 goals. So then your coach says, okay, I'm taking him back out because he's not winning us games anymore. And he switches goalies. Okay. But guess what? It didn't matter because the Lightning were the better team. But the point was this.
No, they weren't.
The goalie switch was warranted because when you look back at the history of the series, the goalie switch happens. Carolina makes it a series at 2-1 and doesn't go down 3-0 and possibly get swept. Instead, they make it a series at 2-1. Then the goalie has a bad game the next night, and he loses. So he gets punished for losing, just like Ned got punished for losing 2 straight games and having bad times. So then it matters. So then in game 5, Ned back in because clearly Mrazek is not doing the job. It makes sense. It all makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't, because you say the Lightning are better. They're the better team. No, if the Hurricanes would have started Ned game 4, and you get a four goal period, which doesn't happen against Vasilevsky, but they did. Ned doesn't give those goals up.
You don't know
He doesn't give that lead back.
Hold on. You don't know that. You cannot.
No, I know that.
John, there is zero way you can say that.
No, I can tell you that 100% without a shadow of a doubt that lead does not come back. I can tell you
with 100% without a shadow of a doubt, you can't prove that, and I can't prove it either. Yes, I can. You cannot prove it either way because sometimes the best goalies get beat by the even better shot.
So the 3 games he played this series, 2 goals a game. All right. If we score 4 in 1 period and they only get 2 off of him, you tell me, Jake, who wins that game?
Hold on. Can you prove he's only going to give up 2 goals? Or are you just going based on his average?
Game 1, game 2, and game 5. How many goals did he give up in each game?
So the rest of the season, in all his games, has he ever given up more than 2 goals?
He averaged less than 2 a game.
But did he give up more than 2 goals at any point?
In any game, did he ever give up more than 2 goals?
In 3 games, he gave up 2 goals apiece. So
No,
in this series, on average, you give up 2.
You're out of order. Let's start again. In his season, did he have any game he gave up over 2 goals?
I'm sure he did
JB,
against the Predators.
I got one. Hey, I got one right here. Game 4, the last series against the Preds, gives up 4 goals.
Exactly. But in this series, he hasn't.
All you could say, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's given up more than 2 goals.
Hold on. In game 3, the game before that against the Predators, he gave up 5 goals, John.
And
5.
he didn't
Count
get benched.
Count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So, Jake, why didn't he get benched in that series?
I don't know. I'm not the coach. I think it was a terrible mistake.
Why
I think it was a mistake. I would have benched him. Absolutely.
Okay, so
I'm not contradicting myself. I agree. If my goalie gives up 5 goals, I bench him.
Spending an awful lot of time on a team that's going nowhere except to party at Cape Lookout.
I have a question. Why didn't the Vegas Golden Knights bench Marc-Andre Fleury?
Okay, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, he gave up 7 goals in game 1. He lost game 2. That's 2 games in a row that he lost. He should have been benched, right?
I'll explain. No.
Oh, why didn't he get benched,
difference.
Jake?
He's a rookie goalie versus a veteran.
It doesn't matter.
Vezina Trophy nominated goalie. Oh, and by the way,
matter.
3. Count them. 1, 2, 3 times Stanley Cup champion.
Doesn't matter.
Right here.
Gotta spark your team, right?
3-time Stanley Cup champion.
But they need
proven everything he's got to prove.
What
but
matters?
They should have sparked their team.
What matters?
They should have sparked their team, right?
Whatever. Stop
John,
for a second. We're going to take a little
very
commercial
different
break.
Scenarios.
Pretend you hear the ice cream truck coming down the block. There's nobody watching right now. It's just us 3. What matters, John? Tell me what matters.
It matters in what context?
So what
you got to give me context.
In this argument, what matters?
You got to give me context of where you're trying to go with this.
Your argument, what matters? You tell me, if you were arguing with yourself, what would you say to yourself with your illogical argument? That's what I want to hear. We're not going to say anything. Me and Jake are going to be quiet. I want you to prove yourself
I'll even
wrong.
mute myself right now.
That they made a mistake in benching their guy. You got to ride with your guy in that situation. It's a playoffs.
No.
The guys that got you to the playoffs, so you got to ride with.
You misunderstood what I wanted. I want you to argue the other side. Because, sometimes doing this for a living, we got to take sides we don't necessarily agree with. So now I want to see you show us what points you would accept as a logical point.
I just explained. I'm not going to argue on the other side.
Sometimes doing this for a living.
I'll argue the other side right now.
You can do what you want. I already explained myself.
So my side is you need to spark your team and make a change.
Yeah, which
I'll play the other side.
Should have done.
Hold on. I'll play the other side. All right. He's our rookie goalie, but we got to build confidence in the guy. We got to say, look, you could bounce back from a loss or multiple losses rather, and we're going to trust you. We're going to put you in, baptism by fire, as they say, right? We're going to put you out there. We're going to put you in the hardest scenario you can have because you're playing arguably the best team or one of the best teams in the entire league, and we're going to let you ride it out no matter what happens. That's the other side of that argument, and I'd accept it as a viable argument. I see it as a viable argument. I just don't believe that's what should have been done, and it's not what was done, but I think it's a viable argument. That's calling the other side right there.
And sometimes in this business, we have to take sides we don't agree with. You're required to. You can't do it, which means that your point is invalid. So let's move on.
I took my side.
Let's move on. Let's talk about the other series in the East. My Islanders up 3-2.
They look good.
How impressive is this team? I had a chance to watch the game last night. They gave up a couple of late goals to make it a game. They're up 5-2. So they're going to beat the Bruins one more game to move on?
I think so. I think at this point, yes.
They should.
I think the Islanders are proving to me that they got 2 things going for them. They're strong defensively, which I already knew, but they're proving it. But more importantly, they're getting hot at the right time. And we have talked about this before. I know I have.
Hockey is huge.
I said it with the Stars last year, and I talked about it coming into this playoff, right? It's always who's the team that gets hot in the playoffs. Islanders look like from our side of things, are from this half of the league, they're the team that's hot right now. They look very good, and they have. I admit they've impressed me. They have been gritty. They have played hard. They have scored, tremendous amounts of goals. Overall, their goaltending has been pretty solid. It's been impressive. I mean, it's not what I expected. Right, there you go. But it goes to prove what I was saying before. You ride the hot hand sometimes. If there's a guy that's winning games, you just go with him.
So, Jake, as the hockey guy, what do the Islanders have to do to beat the defending champions after they beat the Bruins?
They won't.
Is it possible?
Well, I don't. I mean,
first of all, Tampa Bay is dirty, so we'll start with that.
That's no.
Yeah.
The problem is you're going to have to not only beat Andrei Vasilevsky, which is extremely difficult, as he's proven, but you're also going to have to shut down the prolific offense that they have. You're going to have to shut down. I mean, I'm not even going to bother to list it because it's really just everybody. The big thing that I've talked about with the Lightning, I've had in conversations with people, they roll 4 lines that feel like they could be like number 1 or 2 lines for almost every team in this league. They have, depth upon depth upon depth. It's sickening how deep that team goes. And it's not that the Islanders aren't good. They are a fantastic team. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to have to try and shut down at least the top 2 lines, if not the top 3. And that's a tall task. And that's on top of also then having to beat Andrei Vasilevsky, which is also extremely difficult. Is it possible? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No. The Lightning, I think, are just so fantastic right now.
The Lightning like to board guys head first into the boards. They did it with Florida. They did it with Florida.
I'm not getting into this.
They did it with Florida. They did it with us. They like to do that, so you have to watch out for that too.
You're going to hear it here first. Stanley Cup Finals going to be in New York. NBA Finals are going to be in Brooklyn. Get used to seeing New York. That's it.
There's nothing in the East anymore in the NBA. I told you guys last week the Bucks are overrated.
We all know that.
I don't think they're overrated. I've told you that.
They're overrated. This is what they do. They get to the second round, and they just fizzle out.
They get to the second round. They didn't get to the second round last year. But anyway.
Yeah, they did.
No, they did.
Yeah, they got to the second round against us, and they got beat 4-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at something. Anyway.
It's what the Bucks do every year.
Bucks are horrible. But get into the anything else in hockey, Jake?
Only other thing. It's not that important, but still gotta talk about it. The Winnipeg Jets have been swept. Montreal Canadiens are the other really hot team, and it's not gonna matter because they're gonna get crushed when they actually have to play a real team. Because I said it before the playoffs started, that North Division is a hot mess. It's not really good teams. I said they were all going to play against each other, and I don't think any of them are good. And I stand by that.
Avalanche are going to wipe them away, yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I got to say, that series, though, I think is going to be, depending on who's in the Cup final, Avalanche Golden Knights may become the best series in this playoff. It is. If you guys have not watched it yet, please go watch it because it has been phenomenal. It has lived up to the hype and then some. Vegas, I got to say this, and then we'll move on to the NBA because I know we got plenty to talk about there. Vegas was a rockin' the other night, and I'm loving it. It was unbelievable how loud it got. Game 5 is on now in Colorado. The series tied 2-2. I'm loving the series. It is. I'm telling you, whoever wins this series is probably going to have to I'm not saying they're going to win because I think it's going to be whoever wins this versus the Lightning in the Cup final. But I am telling you, whoever wins this has a strong chance at winning the Cup this year.
Well, yeah, of course. They're going to walk right through Montreal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, this team, whoever wins this, I think both teams are phenomenal. And I've told you, I love Vegas's goaltending tandem because they can switch goalies. The Islanders are doing just that now. But if the Golden Knights wanted to, they very easily could, and they'd have elite goaltending. But I will say this, Philip Grubauer has really impressed me with Colorado. I have been thoroughly impressed because he's lived up to the expectation that he kind of has right now. So my hat kind of, I tip my hat to him, if you will, because he's been holding his own in Colorado, and it's not easy.
It helps when you have the offense that they have too.
Oh, absolutely. But he's played well, and he deserves credit for that. But
thank you, Nick. Appreciate that.
We appreciate that. But I don't have anything else. So if we want to move to NBA, I know we got a lot there.
So NBA, let's start off with Charles Barkley last week calling out Anthony Davis, street clothes Davis.
I love that.
Charles Barkley in the studio is great. I love Chuck. The Lakers are done. LeBron. What's your opinion on LeBron, guys?
Soft.
LeBron is soft. I don't know about that one. Anthony Davis is soft.
I don't know if I call him
soft.
Well, all right. He's
mentally
soft. Mentally, okay.
Yeah.
Then yes, because I'm going to say he is one of those players that physically can dominate you.
He's got the Carson Wentz mind.
He's fantastic in terms of his ability to drive with the ball, just because he's a physical specimen. The ball. He's a huge guy and he's great. But we're talking about mentally, yes, I'm not going to disagree with that.
You don't leave your team
to LeBron people that think he's the greatest of all time. How can you be the greatest of all time if you're leaving your team 5 minutes left to go in the game? You go into the locker room if you're not hurt. If you're hurt, it's different. I get it, but just
he wasn't hurt.
Losing.
Yeah,
I don't.
I wouldn't want to be teammates with a guy like that is not willing to ride or die with you.
I'm starting to think that maybe when he was younger he wasn't as mentally soft, especially when he was with the Cavs in his more recent stint. Maybe not as soft, but I think as he's gotten to LA, I'm starting to think maybe that LA lifestyle, it's getting him. It's making him soft, because I'm not saying he wasn't soft before, but at least then he was taking teams. He took the Cavs to the finals, and he pushed the team to the finals and basically almost won the finals by himself. But
I'm
not talking about when he was with Kyrie. I'm talking about after Kyrie left, when it was him and just Kevin Love, and I barely even count Kevin Love. Sorry, but I don't. Right, but I'm talking about that when he played the Warriors, when he basically pushed his team through to the finals. That was mental fortitude. That was impressive. Since then, he seems to have lost a couple steps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad at least we got rid of the Lakers, who won a disputed championship in my eyes. I don't count that as a championship.
I count it, but it
counts in the record book, but it's a bogus championship.
I think all championships from last year are a little bit bogus, because there's
this COVID.
It counts as a championship, no doubt, but it's the COVID championship, I guess, is what you really can call them, because no fans that affects no fans that affects it. Certain playoffs like the NBA and the NHL, not even in your home arena. You're in a bubble, right? It's a little bit different. Tampa earned a championship this year, and I'm talking about football. I don't give them a COVID championship. I give them a real championship. They played the full season. Fans were in attendance to an extent. I think that they truly, it was I would count it enough.
Because it was a full season and there was nothing changed really schedule-wise.
Right.
It was very minimal. I'll count the NFL as a real championship.
Exactly. But NBA, NHL, they had shutdowns. MLB didn't have the fans and condensed season. I mean, don't get me wrong. The feat is still incredible. It's still a championship in my eyes, no question.
Book,
but I count it as we call it, a COVID championship, a CC, Cup, if you will. Right? It's a little bit. There's a caveat to it. It doesn't count as much as I think certain other championships did, because I think other championships required more work or a different level. But I still count it. But yeah, I agree.
Now, okay, we went over LeBron's legacy. Anthony Davis, who is by far one of the most talented guys in the NBA. but he just can't stay healthy. His legacy, I mean, when you look back at his career, what are you going to think about a guy like that?
I'm going to think the same thing I think of as KD. Look, KD, AD, great players. KD just chased championships. I'm sorry. I know he's a great player. I know he's a fantastic, stat in terms of stats. He's a great player, but he didn't earn championships. He chased a ring. All right, and he just chased he might be chasing a second one here. I'm going to be thinking the same thing. Were they a great player? Yeah. But I have my asterisks, if you will, right? KD chased a ring. AD can't stay healthy. I'm always going to remember about those guys. Those are the things that are going to stick in my mind forever.
But at least KD could be the lead dog. AD's playing second to LeBron and can't even stay healthy to stay on the court. I mean,
and I could say he chased a championship too.
And he really did. The dumbest injuries too. It's not even like a sprained ankle. It's the dumbest things.
You got hurt
in the eye, or
you got hurt.
It's scary because he has probably one of the top 3 as far as talent goes in the NBA, but he just can't stay healthy. If he's healthy, he's dominant.
Yeah.
Jokic won MVP. I don't know if they made the announcement yet, but
they
did. Okay. Good for him. I thought that deserved.
I think he deserved it. I don't know about what you two thought, but if you just looked at the stats, Steph most points, no question. But Embiid was, I think he had more points per game as well. But Jokic was, I think, the overall, he nearly averaged a triple-double. I know he had a double-double with a points and assists. I know that for a fact. Points and rebounds. And I think he had 8 points something in assists. For me, that's what makes an MVP, and I know it gets lost.
And also what helped him was after the injury to the point guard, his team didn't go down like everyone thought. Everyone thought Denver was going to fold like a house of cards.
Right. But, I was going to say, what I think gets lost in MVPs in all sports now is let's look at every sexy stat, and whoever leads in them generally wins your MVP. NFL, right? Who was their touchdown leader? Period. End of story. It's almost guaranteed it. If they were the touchdown leader, it's almost like
passing
guaranteed.
Touchdown leader. Yeah.
Right. Well, right. That's what I'm talking about. Right. They're almost guaranteed to be your MVP. In the NBA, a lot of the time, unless you're Russell Westbrook, where you're averaging a triple-double, which is just phenomenal stats, if you're leading the NBA in probably just points, maybe assists, you're going to probably just points alone, you're almost being handed the MVP as long as your team is good. And NHL, that's different because, goals and assists are really the standard. Like there's not much else to judge on for an MVP. Fine. But again, that's why goalies get excluded a lot of the time because, they're not the sexy stats. NBA has that problem. So I was happy to see a guy that didn't lead the league in points, but he led a team to a great record. And more importantly, what he did on the court made the largest impact. That's what the MVP is supposed to be about. If you lost that player, could your team survive? And the answer would have been no. He made the largest impact. So I'm really happy that they won because that he won because that's what MVP is supposed to be about. It's nice to
see somebody else win it too.
It's nice to see somebody that I think legitimately deserved it though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, like I said, it gets lost in translation is what the MVP is supposed to be. MVP is really who has the most sexy stats now at this point.
And what team has the best record in the NBA.
Right.
Basically.
It's unless you're Mike Trout in the MLB, but I mean, admittedly, he usually deserves it. I know he does.
Yeah.
Because he leads all the major categories. But if he didn't lead in home runs, he probably, if he, let's say he just loses that category, he may not win an MVP. Why? Because people care about that kind of stat. So it's one of those scenarios that I saw it and I think all three were deserving, but I truly believe that Steph Curry was second, and I know people might argue that Embiid was second, but Steph Curry was, I know his points were, I think, probably the highest in the NBA.
He carried that team.
Right, but he took a team over. Yeah. He carried a team. That's part of an MVP. That's what they do.
Jokic, Curry, then Embiid. Honestly, 1, 2, 3 in my mind.
Because
the way the season came down.
And when you look at 1 and 2, what did both of them have in common, though?
They
carried their team to the playoffs, to in Denver's case, to a really good record, better than Golden State, right? That's what MVPs are supposed to do. And I got to tell you, this was like a breath of fresh air because, I mean, I would have been happy if Steph won because I truly believe if he would have won it, I wouldn't be sitting here arguing he doesn't deserve it. But it's nice to see somebody new and truly deserving because they did the things that an MVP does. And this is what sports need to continue to do. And I don't think they will, but I really would love it. Choose the guys to truly take the game over and carry their team and become what is considered the most valuable player on their team, but also the league. Because the point is, the point of the award is, without this player, how would that team fare? That's really what the award's about.
Exactly. Yeah. Then, going to the other locker room in LA, the Clippers, they won their series against Dallas. 7, which was probably the best first-round series. I thought the Knicks-Hawks were going to be the best first-round series, but, the Clippers
became a snooze
Maverick
fest.
series was phenomenal. And Kawhi led the Clippers, and they ended up winning in 7.
I got one thing to talk about with that, and I was pissed off to read it because this is one of the dumbest things I may have ever heard. Kristaps Porzingis complained that he feels like an afterthought because Luka Doncic is clearly the superstar there. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to make it real clear. I hope he's listening. You left New York, where you were the superstar. You were the focal point in New York. You chose to leave. You wanted to get out. You went to Dallas. You're no longer the focal point, so you're pissed off. Shut up and play basketball.
How about
You've had it both ways. You've had it where you were the superstar. You didn't like the team, so you left. You went to a new team. They go to the playoffs. You're not the superstar anymore. You complain. Shut up and play.
Stay healthy and play basketball.
Yeah, stay healthy and actually play good basketball. Not even just be on the court. Play good basketball. Be the Robin to Luka's, Batman, because you haven't been a number 2. You haven't been very good.
And you know what? If he played like a number 2, which is still a star in the league, because any good team in the league has 2 stars, the Mavericks might be in the second round. Sometimes you got to step up your game.
I mean, how selfish is that? You see it all what Luka did in that series to try and carry your team, and then instead of being like, wow, my teammate went all out and really carried us, you're complaining because that guy balled out and you weren't the star. Well, how about you go and ball out? How about you go and put up 47 points in a game or whatever, or you put up 40 points basically every game in a series to try and carry the team? How about you do that instead of complaining? Go show your actions.
Speaking of that, I give a lot of credit to Luka because he was phenomenal in that series. He was awesome.
Lights out.
Yeah, and that's what a leader does.
One of the top players in the league.
Absolutely.
Nothing but great things.
I think you
don't hear him bitching about.
He may have been MVP of the first round.
If anybody could complain, it could be him saying, "I don't have enough help." But he didn't say that. But he could.
No, he just wants to go play video games. Trust me, he's a young kid.
I'm just saying, based on what Porzingis said. I mean, Luka.
He could have been a Jake.
Anybody complained, it would be him, and he would have a right to complain if he did.
Second round, we got Atlanta, who's looks like they're gonna blow game 2. There was a close game up till about 5 minutes ago. Now Philly's up 18, so that series will be even one apiece. Looks like Atlanta is playing really good basketball. We said it at the beginning of the year. The moves they made were good moves to get them into the playoffs. They're not a championship team, but they did better than probably I think we all expected at the beginning of the year.
A little bit. I think they exceeded expectations a little bit.
I think that they're going to run out of gas at some point in this series.
I still don't see Philly beating the Nets, so I think the Eastern Conference is done because Milwaukee's garbage.
Yeah.
Going out west, got Denver, who couldn't do much the first game against Phoenix. I think Phoenix is going to win that series in 6. What do you guys think about that series? Anything in particular?
I agree with you. I think Phoenix is the far superior team. And, I think they're the far superior team in that one.
Yeah. I mean, I said this early on when we predicted the playoffs, I said they're a championship team, and I stick with that. I'm not changing my mind on that. I think they're a great team. And
it would be different for me if Murray was playing. I think that
it's a different series.
Yeah,
it's a different series.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. But there is no Murray, and I think Phoenix is just a better team without Murray. But I think it'll be a decent series. It'll be something to watch, but I don't think it's going to be as close as it would have been. And then we got Utah, LA. I don't know. I think the Clippers, they're going to make it tough. I kind of like them here. I don't like Utah.
I don't like the Clippers because every time you think that they're going to finally take that step, old soft, Paul George and old soft Kawhi, come rolling around. And the Clippers always find a way to screw it up. They almost botched it in this series.
Listen, I'm not a Paul George fan. I don't like Kawhi very much. Good player, great player, but I'm not a fan of his. But I think that they're gonna show the fraud that we see in Utah. I think it's gonna be Phoenix Clippers for the Western Conference Finals. I think Phoenix is making it to the finals.
I mean, I agree with part of that statement. Phoenix makes the final. I agree. I'm sticking with Utah, and I don't like it because I don't know that this series can go very, very badly or very well in one game. I'm telling you, we're going to find out quickly what's going to happen with this series. Like I think after after the first maybe 2 games, we're going to know what to expect in terms of the series. My concern I think is just I don't know that I trust the Clippers because they nearly blew the series last round, so I'm a little bit nervous about them instead of Utah, who I understand they played Memphis, and I understand they were a lesser foe, if you will, but they took care of business at least.
Yeah.
They closed out their opponent quickly. They lost game 1, and then they just rattled off 4 wins, game over, series done, see you later. Clippers, nowhere near the same. The Clippers, instead of closing things out after having a lead, Dallas didn't close, and instead of the Clippers, trying to take a lead at some point, they didn't. I don't trust them because when the series was tied 2-2, when they won Game 4, they could have easily come out and won 5 and 6 and ended the series right there. I think they were the better team. I know Luka took over the game, but I don't know. I don't. Clippers make me nervous. They nearly lost the last series, and they had chances to close it out. They had chances to close this series out. I mean,
we'll see probably the end of next week. In 2 weeks, we'll have some discussions about Jake. You're suspended for about 7 games. I don't know what's under your hat. That's it for the NBA.
Anything else? Any MLB? I don't think there's much.
No, not too much.
Actually, I take that back.
Garrett Cole conversation was interesting. I knew I was going to forget that. That was weird.
What, the cheater that's getting $40 million a year?
That whole back and forth on the Zoom call between the.
That was awkward.
That was awkward. It was really awkward.
If you're cheating, just say no. I mean.
And he didn't lie. He just he made it worse.
He just froze.
He was involved with cheating before. So.
I think the problem is a lot of pitchers cheat and use substances. I don't think it's just Cole. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Yankees fan.
Well, it's not
trying to deflect.
Certain substances are allowed.
Let's just call it like this. It's equivalent to the steroid era. All these guys are doing it. Now they stopped it. So just stop it.
Right.
It is what it is.
It's funny because today MLB is currently finalizing a plan to enforce a foreign substance rule. So they're clearly trying to fix it. They should have done that a
long time ago because if you're a good pitcher, you shouldn't need to put substance on a ball or whatever.
Baseball has no direction right now. They're going in all sorts of ways.
Yep.
You know how you fix the game? Play the fundamentals. Get rid of the BS rules that mean nothing. Let's play baseball, the game that we all grew up on.
Yep.
I agree.
But
it's become too complicated. They've made it too complicated.
I just don't like the way Garrett Cole handled that though.
It was awkward.
So he just like for a minute plus, he just like awkwardly danced around the question. Either say yes or no and leave it at that.
Call Carlos Correa and ask him how he explained that he didn't cheat when he did. That was very simple.
It was like listening to Nick Sirianni for the Eagles, his first press conference. That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
like
you know, it really felt like
painful.
John. It felt like a kid got caught in a lie, and you're just dancing around the truth. Just
listen.
And everybody in the room knows you're lying, but just waiting for you to admit
and I told you, all pitchers do it. All pitchers do it. I know they do.
Fraud. That's all I'm going to say. As a Yankee fan, waste the money.
You could name all the pitchers you want. I put money, they all do it. I mean,
waste some money.
I was watching that interview. He does not look like a Yankee. He was wearing that hat. He does not look like.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a Yankee. Like wearing that hat, I'm like, he doesn't look like he fits.
He wanted to be out of Houston as soon as the World Series was over. You know, a couple of years back.
Well, probably because he knew they were going to get caught.
The guy is all about Garrett Cole. He's all about taking that paycheck to the bank. And he gets a hits. For $40 million, I expect a clean scorecard. Sorry. When you make the most money, lead by example. There's a guy on the other side of the other borough. You want to talk about great pitchers. There's a guy that's doing some work.
There are people that think Garrett Cole is the best pitcher in New York. And
no,
well, I know he's not. But people online, I mean, I understand.
Best pitcher in the game.
People online are stupid, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look at us. We're online and we're pretty stupid sometimes. Anyway.
Listen.
But people believe Cole is the best pitcher in New York, and I don't know what goes through their head because DeGrom is
unbelievable.
Like on another planet right now. Like here is Garrett Cole and maybe like Shohei Ohtani's up there right now because he's been pitching great. Trevor Bauer, that's where they are right here. This is where they sit. DeGrom can't even see him. He's just another planet.
Unbelievable.
Just far away. And it's again, this is where I'm putting the elite other pitchers that I think are fantastic pitchers of the game right now. I'm just pointing out that DeGrom is so far ahead of them. It's unbelievable. It leaves me speechless how amazing he pitches. And it's not even that he just pitches well. His hitting has been great too, which is insane. Him and Shohei Ohtani have been the two best pitchers in terms of playing both ways. DeGrom has been the better pitcher, no doubt. But I'm just saying.
Compare the offensive side. But
I know. No, I know. I'm just saying all the pitchers that play both sides of the ball, or rather both sides of the field, right? Pitching and hitting. They've been far and few the best. I mean, they've been unbelievable. But I'm just saying, you want to talk about MVP, DeGrom, he's my MVP right now because he's doing literally everything. When he's pitching, he's great. When he's hitting, he's great. What more can you expect from a guy? He's been unbelievable.
Pretty much.
So,
anything else going on in baseball besides that, we have cheaters and a $40 million fraud?
No, that's about it.
I will say as a Yankee fan, I take solace in finding the Yankee that I hate. I hated Dave Winfield. I hated Roger Clemens. I enjoy having my one Yankee that I dislike. And Garrett Cole has stepped into that role. I dislike him so much.
Oh, I already have mine. Clint Frazier. I cannot stand him.
Okay. I can understand that.
I kid you not, every time I see him, I get angry because he's supposed to be our third outfielder now. We need him because we got Judge. Gardner is just a staple of the Yankees, and it doesn't matter if he sucks or not. He's going to just sit there because that's what he does. Frazier's supposed to be our third, and I got to be honest, 9 times out of 10, he sucks.
No, definitely. I mean, it's, and then just also looking at some other things going on real quick. Wisdom on the Cubs with, unbelievable. How many home runs does he have?
Too many.
He's hit I think 8 in 6 games or something,
something
just
stupid.
An unbelievable start. He's killing the ball. Cubs aren't winning right now, but he's hitting the ball phenomenally. Nice to see young guys do well. Anything else going on in baseball, Joe?
I got one last thing that I have to bring up. It's Yankees related, but it's also just pathetic because this happened on what's today, Tuesday, Sunday night, I believe. The Yankees played the Red Sox. I don't know if either of you caught any of the game. It was on ESPN, so nationally televised game. Everybody could see it.
I know what you're talking about.
You already know what I'm talking about, but I have to bring it up. I'm going to share my screen because this was pathetic. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad things in baseball, but I was so upset that I really felt the need to bring this up. This is a pitch-by-pitch chart of a bottom of the ninth, 2-out at bat for Rougned Odor. So as you can see, if you look at this pitch chart, green number 1 is right here. This is the first pitch. That's a ball. Number 2, ball. 3, a ball. A strike. 4, a strike. 5, a strike. Obviously, there were foul balls. I don't remember what's what. 6, a ball on the outside. So you have 6 pitches, full count. This is pitch number 7. Gentlemen, that was a strike. If you watch my mouse, as I go down in as straight of a line as I possibly can, as I slowly inch down, where did that land? Oh, the other batter's box. That's a strike, apparently, though. Apparently, this is a strike, but this is a ball. I'm not sure.
See, I don't go by those things because those things are like rarely.
John, do you want me to pull up the? All right, do you want me to pull up the video? I mean, I'll gladly show you.
I'm just saying, in general, like those things, I don't typically go by them when I watch the game cast because I never know, like, if I just watch the game cast,
John,
not the actual game. I never know what is actually in the zone or not with those things.
I'll give you this is the zone. I'm going to just give you the edges of the zone because I can't make a full square and use both my hands.
I know how it works.
I'm just using it for what I'm about to do. The ball was out here.
Okay, so you were watching the game and the game cast?
I pulled this off of Twitter. That was
okay. I didn't know if you were watching the game.
I got that from Twitter.
Gotcha.
From tweets. No. Okay. I watched the game. This is the strike. This is the strike zone. It was well outside of it. It was not even close.
What did the final score end up being?
6-4. Yankees lost in extra innings.
Okay, so you're probably going to lose it.
But the Red Sox got multiple hits and multiple runs in the bottom of the 10th, or excuse me, the top of the 10th.
Yeah.
But what I was upset about, the Yankees would have had bases loaded, 2 outs, had he walked. Had Rougned Odor walked.
You don't know what would have happened.
I don't know what would have happened. The Yankees could have still lost that game.
Right.
And if the Yankees still don't lose that game, then I'm fine. And I'm not blaming the loss on just that bad call. Other things happened in the game. The Yankees, I believe, at one point had a 3-1 lead. So I'm not trying to pin a loss on a bad strike call. There were other things. But I am saying a bad strike call didn't help, and whoever the umpire was needs to be suspended immediately because I'm okay with making bad strike calls. Like if it's close, like if this is the strike zone and the ball lands here, I'm okay with the strike.
It's a judgment
being called or not called.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
But
when this is the strike zone and this is your strike, that's unacceptable. Right.
It's just a bad call.
And that can't happen.
But
that's baseball.
Depending on how many times the guy has made a bad call like that, you got to let it go.
I know. But
it happens a million times in the game. You just don't notice it because it's not at that point in the game.
You're right.
I'll be honest with you. A call that bad, everyone would notice all day. There are a lot of bad calls in the MLB currently. The umpiring has been, in my opinion, worse than ever. We should take callers, Mr. Rabbit or Mrs. Rabbit.
I like your name.
This may be my favorite account of all time. Trending Rabbit.
I don't know if Trending Rabbit's a male or a female, but we should take calls.
We don't take callers,
we are pretty entertaining.
But I will say this. You got questions, we're happy to answer them. You got things you want us to talk about, comment it. We'll talk about it.
If you like food, we like to talk about food.
We do. But anyway, continue what you're saying.
No, I mean, listen, the umpires in general this season, from what I've seen, I've watched a lot of baseball so far. I'm not happy with the umpires. I think they're getting worse as time goes on. You know, I don't want to ever see them go to computerized umpires, mechanical umpires.
I have to agree with that also.
You know, I think the judgment calls are part of baseball, but they got to do a better job. And if these guys aren't doing it, there's guys in the minors that are coming up. Let's start replacing guys. Let's start rotating umpires.
A lot of these guys are older too. A lot of these umpires have been in the league for a long, long time. So
I feel like those kinds of strikes, there should be someone calling down from an office and saying, "Look, that was the wrong call. We need to fix." You know what I mean? Like, I don't want there to be challenges. We're not doing challenges. Challenges not happening. No shot.
But at certain points in the game like that, like in the NFL, under 2 minutes,
right?
But certain points like that where it's critical.
I think that there should be, you know how we have the sky judges, we call it in the NFL, or we have the other refs or other people, officiates, right, in boxes watching the game.
That's the whole plate umpire's job. Why do we need someone to police him from doing his job? Then why have him?
It's the same thing in the NFL. You have
right. That's what I was going to say.
Challenge. You have somebody in New York policing them.
The whole plate umpire during a pitch, his job is to see if it's a strike or a ball.
Right, but I'm saying in high leverage situations like that, there should be
going on. I object.
I'm saying in those high leverage situations, I'm not saying, but if there's someone watching up in the box, like an extra umpire, if you will, and they see an egregious call that bad, they should be able to call down and be like, "Look, get the in this case, get the runner on base. The call was clearly a mistake." I don't want every little call where it's slightly off the plate and it's a judgment call, but I want calls that are, egregious, that are clearly wrong to be righted. And there's no good way to go about it. It's just an idea off the top of my head, but it's just there's no good way to fix that. And I know that.
What I think baseball should do, batting practice, home run derby for the starting score, and then play 3 innings so we could save pitchers. Oh wait, that's not a great idea. But what the hell? Let's just change more baseball.
Nobody does whatever they want anyway.
No direction they have. Just a horrible league right now. Anything else going on in sports, guys?
I don't think so. I think that about covers it. I got to go on my little complaint.
USA did beat Mexico, so
in
champions
soccer.
we are.
Ugly stands in that game. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, that's awful.
The homophobic slurs, throwing stuff at players.
It's never okay to say that. Never.
And stop throwing things on the field. We just weren't allowed to go to games.
We just complained about this last week.
You just got back from a pandemic. Now you're able to go to games. Overall, as fans in sports, enjoy it and don't ruin it for the rest of us.
All it takes is one bad apple.
Yep.
Always, right?
The way it goes. But
just be an adult. Like, it's not hard to be an adult.
John, people are not adults.
It's a lot harder than you think. It's a lot harder than you think.
John,
we've all 3 gone to games and never thrown things at any player or whatever. Never.
The only
time
I will name one time it's acceptable to throw anything towards a player. And you'll understand when I say it because you'll both agree.
I already know what you're going to say.
A hat trick in hockey. It's of course it's acceptable to throw a hat. Why? It's tradition. That's the point. It's the only time it is ever acceptable that I can think of.
But like throwing popcorn or beer or whatever.
Not.
Just
absolutely
no.
Grow up. You don't deserve to go to a game if that's what you're going to do, or if you're going to yell homophobic things.
I agree.
You don't deserve to go to any game ever because there's never any time that's okay.
That's not something that's acceptable. Period.
Yep.
Let alone in those situations. I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah, but I think that's it, guys. I had enough today. John has got me all riled up. I know there was a guy at golf who didn't get the COVID vaccine. He lost $1.6 million because he tested positive on day 4 of the tournament up by 6 strokes.
That's hard.
I want to say it was John Rahm, but off the top of my head, I forget who it was.
I have no idea.
I know anything about golf.
I know what you're talking about, but I do not remember his name. And honestly, I'm not going to. That's
a scary story. Cost himself $1.6 million. That's all I'm going to say. That's enough for me. Give it a Garrett Cole. He'll cheat his way.
All right, let's go around. John, where can they find you?
You can find me here at Sideline Sports. You can find me on Twitter, BlueHawks13. Find me at Sports Arena with Eric Wilson and Alex Fleming. Monday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. You can find me on the NBA Carousel Monday nights at 8 p.m. NFL Carousel in the fall. And then you can find me on Cardiac Cane, where I'll be writing about the Carolina Hurricanes now during their off season. So I'll have a lot to write about. So please come and check that out and support me.
John, will you be documenting them going golfing?
Maybe. I have a lot to write about. I have a lot of articles I want to write. So I want to get started on Fansided. I'm an independent contractor, a contributor for Cardiac Cane. I want to make sure I mention that because that's what I'm not contractual, but I'm obligated in the agreement to say. So that's what I am. So that's where you can find me, all of the outlets. How about you guys?
JB _ the program on Twitter, on Instagram. You'll find me. Just look. The program will be back in a few weeks. I already got an author that wrote a couple of baseball books. Was speaking with him today. He's excited to come on the show. I'm on the NFL Carousel covering the Chargers. Gonna have a big year next year, making the playoffs. Produce the NBA Carousel in conjunction with Fantasy of Flavors and, of course, Sideline Sports. And God only knows what sporting event I may show up on. Forget about Marlin Man. JB Ellis is the new Marlin Man.
Oh, God.
Jake?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. I usually try to keep, important news I put on there in case you miss it. You guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Just look me up. More importantly, you can find me here on Sideline Sports and part of the Sideline Sports Network. Of course, we have a bunch of shows. So if you're not checking us out, if you're not checking our channel or other shows, check it out. You're missing a lot of great stuff. And even more importantly, the most important thing you can find is Sideline Sports wherever you look for social media or podcasts. On Instagram and Twitter, as you see rolling across the bottom, we are Sideline Sport 1. On YouTube and Facebook, we are Sideline Sports. Just look it up. If you get your podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you can find them, we are on there. Go look for our podcast there if you want to just listen to us. As always,
Worldwide.
As I always recommend, watch us because it's way funnier. We say stupid things, but we also look really stupid when we say certain things. I
do look stupid.
I mean, look, when I'm yelling at John about being hypocrite about his rookie goalie versus rookie quarterback, I mean, my face is turning red. I look hilarious. You might want to see that. Just my opinion.
And I think it's worth watching. I have a lot of good food takes. They have a lot of food takes in general. I have a lot of good ones. So you're going to want to check out my good food takes.
Last thing, I have to ask, what have you been eating during the show, John?
My bowl of coffee cake ice cream.
I knew that.
I got the other day. Yes, it's actually pretty good. I like it. Nice. So it's the first time I've ever had.
You know what? If you're not sharing the ice cream, don't have it during the show.
Look, if you were here, I would definitely give you a bowl. I would be all for it.
Listen, you have to call in advance and say we're having ice cream during the show. Get yourself a bowl. We could have went into the freezer and got some.
You're right.
Unaware
I have homemade ice cream sitting downstairs.
Well, why would you not have that with you?
Because it wasn't ice cream time. But
it's always ice cream time, man. Whether it's cold out, whether it's hot out, it's always ice cream time.
Now, that's a statement I can agree with, actually.
I don't know. I prefer shakes.
And you know what? I haven't had a real good milkshake in a long time. Not one of these Burger King or garbage ones.
That'll be next week's talk. We're gonna tease it.
There you go. Next week we'll talk about the greatest shakes. Well, if there's anything else, let me know. If not, then that's it. Anything else?
I have a fun sports segment for you guys next week that I want to bring up. A nice hypothetical fun sports segment. So it'll be interesting.
There you go. Well, if that's it.
Good to me.
And that's it for us at Sideline Sports. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next week.